couple fish doodles. I wanted to show you. I love doodling, but I'm good at doodling for two reasons. One is I've done a lot of realistic drawing, and my brain is programmed with those images. You know, I've done a lot of life drawing, and so I can doodle a figure pretty well. But if there's something I'm not used to drawing, then I'm going to end up with something not quite as nice as the stuff that's programmed into my head. So here's these two little fish I just kind of did off the top of my head. But I want my imaginary fish to look better than just this. I want to have more of the structure of a fish and the different variations of fish, what they look like. So I programmed my brain by doing some realistic studies, and I had some plastic model fish. I have a whole collection of plastic model toy fish. You can get them online. You can get them at the hobby store. Hobby Lobby is a real good place. And then I also have, and I also used some images from copyright-free reference book Animals by Dover, and it's got the link there, and we can also give you the real link. Let's scroll down, Mark, and let them see the studies I did. So here are some realistic studies I did. Now I'm programming my brain. I want to get these fish images into my brain. So I just went through the book, and I got out my little plastic fish too, and I sketched. And I used a charcoal pencil, a medium, like a 2B charcoal pencil, which I really love sketching with. That's my favorite go-to sketching thing at this time, although I've been through all of them, and I think when you do stuff, it's good to try and see which medium you like the best. But I like this because it gets nice dark darks, and you can erase it too. Okay, so now we're going to scroll down again. I've done all these fish studies. So scroll down again, Mark, to the next picture.
Okay.
Now I put away all my references. I've just simply put them all away. I put the plastic fish away, put the book away, and I just started dried fish out of my head. And you can see that they're looser. They've got better realism. I'm able to do them from different angles because I put those images in my head. And when I did illustration, the deadlines were extremely tight. And I did, the things like you saw, the ink and watercolor, and they were kind of cartoony. And they'd say, well, here, we want you to do the following animals, blah, 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 blah. Well, I would just go on the internet and be a little pirate, and I would do sketches of stuff I saw on the internet, and then I'd put all the sketches away, and then I'd come up with something. So that's the difference between reference and copying. I hope that makes sense.
Wow. Any questions about that? Theresa, so it would take you just not much more than 20 reference drawings?
It depends on what I was doing. You know,
yeah.
If it was something I was comfortable with, I could do it. But I had an illustration one time that I had to do of a hang glider, and I drew all these hang gliders, but I still could not get the configuration and the design, the 3D design of a hang glider into my head, and I just could not do this. I couldn't make one from my imagination, and I had to build a little hang glider using the stuff I found on the internet. I built one out of, cardboard and string and wire and stuff. And I drew from that.
Oh my gosh, that's
just couldn't get it into my head. So,
and you weren't copying anybody else's hang glider. You had built your own.
I built my own. I could build it from looking at the sketches and the photographs I saw. I could not draw my own hang glider. Did not. So, but the whole idea is you're storing these images in your brain. It's very much like learning guitar chords or learning scales. When you do music, which I've also done. I've had a pretty checkered career. I used to play violin and the guitar, but you get programmed with those things, guitar chords or guitar scales or scales on the violin, and then you can make music because you have all that stuff programmed in your head. And this is the same thing. When you do those little studies, it's like learning scales or chords.
Well, isn't that nice to think that one could learn something as difficult as the human figure or the fish animal figures by just drawing them bunches of times, but not thousands of times or even hundreds of times, but maybe 20 or 30 sketches could get you a long ways with understanding your reference.
Yeah, especially if you do it right afterwards.
Okay.
It's like,
yeah, okay. That's a key point.
You don't want to take the test too long after you've studied, it's kind of like that.
Short term. I bet that helps. That helps burnish it into your memory for future times too, doesn't it? If you do it.
It does. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and then scroll down, because I had a couple other little things. Now, these are all different species of fish that I sketched. But if I had to do all the same species of fish, like a koi, I would have just gone on the internet and I would have sketched a bunch of koi. That's right, you heard me, I'm a pirate. And then I would have put all the sketches away and come up with my own koi. And I might have had to do it 20 or 30, if I wanted to make it more realistic. This works best for stylized or cartoony artwork. If you want really straight realism, then either get your own photographs that you took or buy them from somebody, buy the rights to do it. And I've done that too. There was a guy who had these beautiful heron photographs that I emailed him and said, "Oh, I love your photographs. Can I buy the rights to use them?" And he said, "Sure." He didn't charge me very much. And, so you can do that too. I got written permission. So that's another way to go, and that's probably what some, professional illustrators do. If they can't get their own photographs, they get permission.
Well, I noticed that E.B. Lewis took all his own reference photos for those beautiful, realistic, highly representational watercolors that he does, all his own photos with models, friends of his and neighbors, and then I remembered Giuseppe's comment from the other night about using movie star reference that's all over the web. You'd think that stuff would be public domain, but he said no. Your attorneys will come. The person's attorneys will come after you.
The thing is, I did these textbook illustrations. Nobody ever sued me because I used this method. I sketched from these photographs and I put the photographs away. That's the deal. You have to push the photographs away. You're not looking at them, and then you do it from your head. And then if you're still not sure of it, you can go back and do it again. Or if you want just one or two little details that won't get you in trouble, you can do that too. So you're kind of walking a thin line, but you can do it. And I made some extremely tight deadlines that way. Another thing, three-dimensional reference, you're not going to get caught on the copyright hook nearly as much, unless you do an illustration of Mickey Mouse or something, some trademark.
Yeah, watch out for Disney characters.
But, you don't want to mess with the mouse. But anyways, like you can go to someplace and get figurines, and you can use those for reference. You still got to watch it, if you just drew in plain still life and you use a vase here, that's a really safe thing, but you still got to watch it. Like my clock for the Nancy Drew thing, I bought a clock at Hobby Lobby, but I decided not to use their clock all the way because I thought it was an asymmetrically designed clock. I thought somebody could recognize that, and if I were doing that for a really big publisher, I could get in deep doo-doo from doing a clock that looked like the one in Hobby Lobby. So I used part of the Hobby Lobby clock, and then I made a little clay model for the rest of it.
Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces, yes. And you'll hear that from illustrators. Bits and pieces.
Yep. And it's a great way to cover your tracks, since you're stealing reference, is to mix the pieces up.
Yeah.
Mix the pieces up so they could never figure out what you took from what. But also, what if you bring 50% of yourself into your work and make up half of the image and then truly make it your own? Or like Theresa does, she draws it all out of her head from memory, and then it very much is her own creature. I imagine that's a much more creative approach, a much freer approach.
But I also use, the plastic fish and the resin owl, and
I do too.
But I do that stuff, but I change those things up, like the clock. But okay, here's the thing: if I wanted to take Hobby Lobby's clock and put it in just on the web and sell a painting, I could probably get away with it. But if I put it on a Nancy Drew cover, no way. I could not get away with it. It's just like if you Google on the web still life Mickey Mouse, you will see that there are still life artists out there who have put a Mickey Mouse toy in their painting, and Disney has not come after them. So there are levels of this. It's kind of funny. It's like, know how far you can push the envelope. It's a strange thing.
It is.
And you can probably get away with it more in fine art than you can in illustration, pushing the envelope. But I still don't like to push the envelope too hard. I like to play it safe, and I also like to really have my own original stuff.
Yeah.
Really